Tony, defensive players are underrepresented on this stage. There's only 2 of you guys up here. And Bud was a holder. So, I mean, there's maybe 1.
Yeah, I would say that. But we're well represented now, okay? Great store, by the way. So, first of all, it's great to be here. I mean, I'm up here on the stage with royalty, and I was just thinking, we're talking about this backstage or back there, or telling the real stories. I was thinking about how much NIL money would be on this stage if this old guys are playing today. We always reminisce about that. But
you got the best shoes by far of anyone up here.
Yeah, I mean, those $500 handshakes were a little different back then. But I mean, I think that was Marcus Dupree. I think his was like $1,000 handshakes, Coach. I don't know. I'm not for sure. But anyways, it's great to be here. And so I got a couple of stories. I'll make it short. So I always got to tell this one about Coach. I don't know. I've heard this before, but I'm going to tell it anyway. But so when I got recruited, you know, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I had about 100 first cousins, come from a big Hispanic culture family. You know, and I grew up back, you know, up in the 70s. It's little prejudice, and so I was a little insecure. And so I know Coach Switzer never saw me play, because I know it was all about Merv Johnson, because I think he just, you know, he was kind of the finisher as far as recruiting. So I was playing an all-star game, and he's heard this story, and there's maybe people heard this story before. And Coach Johnson was recruiting me at the time, and he was scouting me. He goes, "Man, I got this kid in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's big, he's fast, he got quick feet, plays with great leverage, and I think this kid can play." And he goes, "All right, well, what's his name?" He says, "Tony Casillas." He says, "Well, I want to go and, you know, meet him and check him out." So before that, you got to remember, I was getting recruited pretty heavily. You know, it was Texas and a lot of different schools, and so anyway, I went to Texas, and I was drinking the water, and I was like thinking, you know, I want to go to Texas. Like back then, you took like thousands of trips, recruiting trips. It's dog and pony show. You know, this is, you know, what's the best, most impressive, and who's gonna, you know, what's the best show that weekend. So I went to Texas, and Fred Akers was the coach at the time, and he recruited me hard. Mike Ruther was the offensive lineman, and a guy named Jeff Lighting, they took Tommy Nobis out of retirement to give it to Jeff Lighting, so he recruited me. So it's a great visit. So I get back, and I'm telling him, I'm singing the Eyes of Texas. You know, this was many years ago, so long ass time ago. And so Coach Switzer, I don't know at the time, had seen me. I think he had saw film or seen me play before, but he heard about this story, you know, that I was going to go to Texas. So he gets on the phone, he calls me up, and mind you know, back in the 70s and 81, you know, I was a little insecure about being brown, you know, brown in Oklahoma. So he calls me up and he says, "Hey, Tony, Coach Switzer." I said, "Yeah, I know who this is." Because what I hear about you wanting to go to Texas, I'm like, "You know, Coach, I just loved it. I kind of fit in and everything." He goes, "That's a bunch of BS." Because I want you to come to Oklahoma and be the best Mexican I ever coached. So I'm like, and so I don't know what to say. You know, you can't say that shit these days, right? So I'm like, and I'm telling my family, I have like 100 first cousins. You know, my family migrated from Chihuahua, Chihuahua State of Chihuahua to come to Oklahoma to migrate to make their lives better. And he's telling me, "Hey, I want you to be the best Mexican ever coach." So anyway, this happened perpetually for several years. And so, you know, when I got established as a player at Oklahoma, and, you know, you know, everyone that thinks that Coach Switzer is this player's coach, that's BS. Because I heard he was upset one day, came in the training room. He looks at me, and, you know, we're back and, you know, doing off-season workouts in Norman. We're busting our ass, getting ready for the season, and some of the guys miss, you know, workouts. You know, I'm this dude, man. I'm like, you know, I'm dedicated, trying to be a leader. And he comes in our training room, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Tony," he says, "I want to tell you something right now. this isn't a democracy. This is a damn dictatorship. And I said, all right, coach, I got you. So I kind of felt that. But anyway, Bob was talking about the $4,000 bar tab that he had but I think ours was like $10,000 in 1984 when we got our asses beat by Washington and got embarrassed. Because that's all we did when we went to Orange Bowl. We partied too much, and I know a lot of the coaches remember that. So 1985, he said, look, that's not going to happen again. Well, you are not going to embarrass me, the fans and everything. We're gonna put an end to that. So, it's like you have before practice, the bowl week, and we're getting ready to go there and ball because we got embarrassed by Washington because we just didn't take care of business. So we're playing Penn State, and so we get the itinerary, we're reading this, and we're looking at it, it's like, wait a second. I'm telling Jeff Tupper, I said, we got 2 days? Are you in bowl preparation? Is this the same? I mean, is this really the reality? He said, yeah, we're reading it. So he talked, and so we have a team meeting. He goes, we're like, hey, coach, we're going to have 2 days. Hell yes, you're going to have 2 days. You're not going to embarrass me like we did the year before. So obviously we had 2 days, and the rest is history because we ended up winning the national championship. But that got our attention. So that was kind of the whole thing with Coach Switzer. And so, when I look at him and I look at all these great guys up here and former players, I mean, it's a common yoke. And, I could sit up here and tell stories for hours, but I'm going to let everyone tell their story. But I will say this. There is no one that I can think of and I played for some great coaches, been on some tremendous teams, that all these guys and throughout, I have two teammates here tonight, Tim Lasher, Jamel Holloway, I saw the great Steve Zabel, but Tim and Jamel, which I think Jamel doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's one hell of a quarterback at OU, but they all can attest to that, yeah. They can all attest to Barry Switzer, what he has done for not us personally, but for everyone in this room, the legacy of Oklahoma football, and we all got so much gratitude to thank this man right here for what he's done. He's a special man, and thanks a lot for having me here.
Thank you, Tony. And I've always said this, you were the best Mexican that ever played for me, but you're the only one that played for me.
Coach, I think I heard you. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm real quick. So I remember when this went on for like 30 years. Introduction. Okay, here it comes. Wait for it. Tony Casillas, best Mexican I ever played for, or ever played for. I said, okay, that's fine. So this went on for decades. So in 2000, I think it's 2005 or 6, I got inducted to the Sports Hall of Fame, and so I asked Coach. I said, look, would you mind presenting me at the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame? And I was like, oh yes. I mean, just like he does for thousands of other guys, he's there, and he does, he's there for you. So he gets up there and he's like saying all these really nice things about me, and so I said, I'm gonna set the record straight. So I get up there and I'm talking. I said, Coach, I love you. You're just like my second dad. But let me set the record straight. I'm the only damn Mexican that I ever played for.
Oh, Tony. Tony was he was the second player picked in the draft, and Bo Jackson went first, and Tony always felt like that he should have gone first because he played 12 years, Bo only played 4. So he thinks he should have been the first player picked.
That worked out well.
But Tony was the first defensive lineman picked in the draft that year, a great player, won a couple Super Bowls and played 12 years in the NFL. And I've always said, people said he wasn't very big for a defensive tackle, and I said, the reason he could play, he knew how to play the technique. He played underneath people's pads. He was strong. He had great speed and quickness. And when you're a big guy and you weigh 350 and 60 and you come off as an offensive lineman, a guy that plays underneath your pads, you ain't moving his ass. Because the guy knows how to play technique, get underneath his pads, you can't move him. And Tony get off him and go make the plays. And Tony was a great player and played 12 years because of that. He's smart and was a great technique player.